In the summer of 1876, on the rolling hills beside the Little Bighorn River in present-day Montana, a clash unfolded that would echo through American history as both a symbol of resistance and a story of miscalculation. This is the tale of General George Custer's last stand, a moment when overconfidence and miscommunication collided with unwavering resolve and unity. It began as the United States pushed ever deeper into the western frontier, eager to secure lands for settlers and exploit new resources. Indigenous nations, including the Lakota Sioux, Cheyenne, and Arapaho, rejected the U.S. government's pressure to cede their sacred territories, gathering in one of the largest encampments the plains had ever seen. Their purpose was clear: defend their way of life against encroachment, especially after gold was discovered in the Black Hills, a region promised to them by earlier treaty. Custer, an ambitious cavalry officer known for his audacious style and headline-grabbing exploits, was dispatched as part of a broader campaign to subdue the tribes and force their return to government-designated reservations. On June 25, 1876, Custer's 7th Cavalry approached the sprawling native encampment. Expecting at most a few hundred warriors, Custer instead found a force several thousand strong, led by legendary figures like Sitting Bull, Crazy Horse, and Gaul. Driven by haste and perhaps a desire for personal glory, Custer made two fateful decisions. First, he divided his regiment into several smaller detachments, believing a quick strike would prevent the native families from escaping. Second, despite the advice of scouts and the knowledge that reinforcements were nearby, he declined to wait, pressing his attack against staggering odds. As Custer and his men advanced, warriors quickly responded, exploiting their familiarity with the landscape and their superior numbers. What began as a surprise assault for the soldiers turned into a desperate battle for survival. Within hours, Custer's detachment was overwhelmed. The gunfire faded, and when it was over, more than 200 men, including Custer himself, lay dead on the battlefield. Not a single soldier under his immediate command survived. The defeat at Little Bighorn shocked the nation. Newspapers seized on the drama, framing it as Custer's last stand, and casting the fallen general as a martyr. For many Americans, the news was a stinging blow, proof that the western frontier was far from subdued, and that indigenous resistance was both fierce and deeply rooted. For the victorious native forces, the triumph was brief but vivid, a rallying point meant to preserve their freedom and homelands. Why does this episode matter? The Battle of the Little Bighorn was one of the worst defeats the U.S. Army had suffered on the plains. It underscored the cost of underestimating an enemy and failing to account for their knowledge, tactics, and resolve. The aftermath sparked an intensified campaign against the tribes, ultimately leading to their forced surrender and confinement on reservations. Custer's actions became a cautionary tale, highlighting how arrogance and a lack of preparation can turn confidence into catastrophe. Yet, beyond the military lesson, Little Bighorn forced the nation to reckon with its westward expansion, an expansion built on broken treaties and conflict. It continues to stand as a pivotal moment where indigenous Americans, against overwhelming odds, defended their sovereignty and heritage. The story of Custer's last stand is thus not only about defeat, but also about resilience, sacrifice, and the lasting struggle for justice on the American frontier.